Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Wednesday night, October the 29th, time for the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9. I'm glad you're here. Not much going on outside other than a lot of rain, and I'm here to answer your questions too. So if you have any, you can put them on the 14 News Facebook page, and we'll check in with you all in just a couple of minutes. Look at this picture out here. I mean, you know, it's kind of picturesque in a way, a rainy night like this. Didn't Eddie Rabbitt write a song about rainy nights and how he loved them? Well, you know, enough is enough, and especially when we have these temperatures in the 40s. This is that kind of damp, wet, drizzly cold that goes right through you. But anyway, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer here. We have much better news on the way, and that includes clearing skies tomorrow and a dry, sunny Halloween. But for the overnight hours, we will have rain continuing and falling temperatures out there. The interesting thing about the way the rain is coming down is we have sort of a banded structure, almost like what you would see around a tropical system, where we have occasional bands of heavier rainfall, and then between them we have these areas of mist and drizzle which show up as blue here on the radar. So it's just completely saturated out there. If you look at a 12-hour loop of the radar, you can really see that counterclockwise motion as the center of low pressure moves across Tennessee. And we're up in what we would call the deformation zone, which is the area north and west of a low pressure. Now, if this were a winter storm, of course, we'd have like, 9-10 inches of snow on the ground, but oftentimes a winter storm will take on this very same look with the precip shield kind of following that deformation zone up to the north. So, but it's not snow, so be glad for that. You know, it was snow in 1993. We had, I think, 4 inches, three and a half one day and a half the other, and I think that was the 29th, 30th, leading into Halloween. It was a weird fall, and certainly the heaviest snow we've ever had in October. But anyhow, back to the present, we're going to get the clouds on the move here tomorrow morning, and I think by lunchtime and after, we should be in pretty good shape with the bulk of the cloud cover well to our east and a northwesterly wind, which, remember, will be bringing down that drier air from Canada, so that tends to scrub out the cloud cover and snuff out the rain too. We will stay clear then on Halloween on Friday. No big changes there. Saturday, a few question marks now. The latest models are starting to show some clouds returning with a little plume of moisture off the Gulf, and that could lead to some scattered showers, maybe even as soon as the afternoon. Some of the models I looked at earlier today were kind of showing an overnight chance of showers. At this stage, it doesn't look like much rain either way, but we don't need any more rain. So hopefully that'll just kind of blow through and not bollocks up your plans. Rain chances are pretty minimal, actually, only at about 20% all the way through Sunday, and then dry next week. And we get some warmer temperatures too, maybe even some mid-60s there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So lots to look forward to, kind of the carrot on the stick here. Our temperatures across the nation, we have this big core of colder air that has descended all the way down into Oklahoma. Mid-30s across the Dakotas up there, and we're not far behind here with our upper 40s and low 50s. Around the region, we have stayed pretty much at the 50-degree level all day. We've now started to sneak down into those upper 40s without any sort of solar radiation, even above the clouds, warming us up. 54 was the high today, 51 the low, so we were just, range bound there on the temperature. This is among the coldest days. It's actually the second coldest day that we've had this month. 52 on Monday is the coldest thus far. And as of 5 o'clock, we had 3/4 of an inch of rain. Now we've added about another 1,100, so I just made that 8,500ths here for the day. And we'll probably get a little more here before midnight and perhaps a little more after. That puts our monthly total at 5.5 inches of rain. And of course, for the year, we are still really wet. We are not in the top 10. I thought we would probably crack into the top 10 wettest Octobers for the last 30 years, but we're just a little short unless we get a whole bunch of rain later tonight. We have had 2 months in a row now of above normal rainfall, and other than August, where we had that flash drought, remember, like didn't rain the whole month, we have been on a roll here since April with very wet weather, which accounts then for that 50 plus inches of rain for the year. Remember, an average year, we typically get 44 inches of rain, so we're already, you know, even if it didn't rain another drop, we would still, in the record book, look like a very wet year, even though then that would constitute a drought if it didn't rain again for the next couple of months. Mid to upper 50s tomorrow as that low pressure pulls away, and improving conditions. The hurricane now, this is Melissa, which was a Category 5 yesterday as it crossed over Jamaica, has now weakened to Category 1 with 90-mile-an-hour winds. The projected path here from the National Hurricane Center will take it out just to the west of Bermuda, but kind of a close call there, and hurricane watches are currently in place. So the big low continues to churn overnight, and then in its wake, very little happening on Friday. Saturday, you see high pressure coming down, but we also could get some of that moisture around the backside of it, which could kind of turn and give us that rain chance in there. I think this is an instant replay of the hour by hour I showed earlier, but just to reiterate, we will clear out here very soon. And after that, we're expecting things to remain dry and a little bit warmer than normal into next week. Not much rain on the way. The European model keeps us dry and quiet through all of next week. Really no system coming in, noteworthy one anyway. And rainfall then, obviously, is not going to come up with anything for the tri-state. Again, this is the European model. The GFS, other than that snow, rain on Saturday, was dry as well. 44 degrees tonight with that rain ending before sunrise tomorrow, then 59 for the high tomorrow with slow clearing and some sunshine out there. Next week, we warm it up a little bit more. Now, let's not get too greedy. Remember, we're getting into November, so oftentimes if we get into the 70s, we get severe weather. So we want to just kind of stay on an even keel for next week, and I think we will. Temperatures slightly above average, which would be 65 to 70, and drier than normal too, up through the 8th of November. Now I'm showing this one again. I know I showed the chameleon last night, but this plays into Science Corner here, so I wanted to use that kind of as a transition. And again, thanks to Joan Bittner from over in Illinois for sharing her cowboy-clad chameleon here, all set for Halloween. Okay, it's been kind of a long, wild day here, so if I seem a little loopy, that's why. If you knew what we went through some days around here, that should be, one night maybe we'll do that. I'll just leave the camera running all day, and it is unbelievable sometimes that all the stuff that we get through in a single day. It's exciting, and you ultimately benefit, but man, it's like working in the sausage factory, you know? Okay, let's see. Jeff Miller had 1 3/10 inches today, 4.9 for the month. Okay, that's good information. William Raleigh over here by Bossy Field had 92 hundredths and 18 yesterday, so 1 inch total. Thanks for the totaling there, William. Ruth Titzer remembers, I think, the Halloween snow. I'm sure that's what it was. Cheyenne Hammond says, good evening, Debbie Hill, Janet Stapleton, and the rest of the gang is in there too. So we're glad to have you all, as always, to watch the 14 First Alert Weather Show at 9. All right, keeping with the animal theme and segueing into Science Corner. So we're going to go from a chameleon to an anchovy. What in the world do anchovies have to do with anything other than pizza? Well, they actually have quite a bit to do with the next topic, which is El Nino and La Nina. Now, in an El Nino pattern, and this we're talking the South Pacific, so this is off the coast of Peru, where they fish for anchovies, hint, hint. The normal pattern, winds would displace the surface water as they come from west to east, and that would cause upwelling of the warm water. In other words, it pushes the warm water away, and the cooler water wants to move up to replace it. And when that happens, it brings up nutrients, which anchovies love to eat. So the anchovies go out there and have a big banquet. And then in short order, the fishers get out there with their nets and hooks and catch anchovies. Anchovy fishery is a big industry in Peru, or at least it has been, and down in South America. Okay, so in an El Nino year, which appears every couple of years, high pressure stops the wind and from blowing in that direction. And so the water gets warm at the surface, and therefore there aren't as many nutrients. The anchovies don't like that, so they go deep, and now the fish boats go out and they come up empty. And so poor fishing creates an economic catastrophe in a country like, we're talking history now, in Peru. And so this pattern was observed by the fishers every 2 to 7 years, or 2 to 9 years, 2 to 7. And so and it typically happened around Christmas time, so they called it El Nino, the child, right, like the Christ child. And that was something they didn't want to have happen because it typically wiped out the fishing industry on El Nino years when you had that warm water there. Well, what wasn't known at the time is that that very same change in water temperature actually affected the weather over the planet. So here we are down in Peru and not catching anchovies, but as it turns out, during an El Nino year, we also get a ripple effect when that warm water is present, and that tends to lead to a drier year for us, drier winter, and the jet stream dives south, which usually generates severe weather and active weather, and sometimes hurricanes along and through the tropics. Now, the reverse of El Nino is called La Nina, and so that's the girl, right, the child, the girl child, and that they kind of called the off year when you didn't have an El Nino, but the flip of it, La Nina. And so that is the pattern that we're heading into this winter. And in that case, we have cold water off the shore here of South America, which in turn leads to wetter conditions across the Ohio Valley, and the jet stream is closer to us, which sometimes can enhance severe weather development. And the big question when we're talking about a winter forecast is, what does that do to the snow? Well, of course, you know, there's no cinch here, no perfect answer, pat answer, because it's weather. You're going to have years that are just different for whatever reason. But typically, if you average it all out, La Nina years tend to produce less snow than an average winter. And around here, an average winter is about 14 inches of snow. So in the last 9 La Ninas, if we go back to 2000, we've only had 2 years, 2 of the 9, where we had, you know, more than, say, 15 inches of snow. So there's not a whole lot to hang your hat on there, other than that more often than not, we can say factually here, based on what has actually happened, we tend to get less snow. Now, will that be the case this year? Well, as it turns out, we have been working on our big winter forecast here in the storm team, in the weather team, and we were recording all of the elements for it today, which is why it's been kind of a crazy day. And we will have those results for you next Thursday, November the 6th. We're going to look back at the November 6th tornado. This is the 20th anniversary of that. But we'll also look forward, and we will have a snow prediction for you too. All 4 of us were in the weather office today haggling over those numbers. We all did it privately first, and then when we revealed our numbers, you know, we didn't yell at each other. We all got along real well, but there was some ribbing going on. And I won't name any names, Byron Douglas, but you'll just have to see who forecast what and then what actually comes true. And Byron was the big winner last year. He nailed it. I think he had said 19 inches, and we had 19.2 or something like that this winter. So anyway, a little cliffhanger there to finish out the First Alert Weather Show at 9. We will have that special coming up next Thursday night, and I'll keep giving you little tidbits as we go along. In the meantime, please stay safe. I appreciate you watching. Have a good night.